This video will show you how to assemble the RadRunner Plus. Photograph all four sides of the box and the label with the serial numbers. Make note of any damage to the box and keep these photos for your records. Remove any packing strips, then use a box cutter to open the box top. Locate the owner's manual and quick reference card. Keep these nearby for reference during the assembly. Locate the box with the passenger seat and mounting hardware and set it aside for later. With the help of a friend, carefully lift the e-bike out of the box and place it upright on the back wheel and fork protector plate. Locate the accessory box that contains the charger, headlight, pedals, and the assembly toolkit. The assembly toolkit contains a variety of tools to help with assembly, but don't worry if you end up not using some of the tools. You'll also need a pair of flat side cutters, bicycle grease, a pedal wrench, a bike floor pump with a Schrader valve and pressure gauge, and a torque wrench with a set of Allen bits and a crowfoot bit. Cut the zip ties securing the front wheel and fender to the frame and set the wheel and fender aside for later. Remove the rest of the packaging and recycle according to local rules, or save the packaging if you might need to ship your bike in the future. Use a 5mm Allen wrench to remove the stem faceplate and hardware and set aside. Orient the front fork so that the brake caliper is on the non-drive side of the bike. The drive side is the side of the bike with the chain. If necessary, rotate the stem and front fork and make sure the cables are not twisted around the head tube. Hold the handlebar up on the stem with the brake levers facing forward and the throttle on the rider's right side. Trace the brake cable on the rider's left side to ensure it runs straight down. Center the handlebar on the stem. Install the 4 bolts by hand and use the Allen wrench to tighten part way in an X pattern until the handlebar is just tight enough so that you can adjust its angle. Adjust the handlebar so it is roughly parallel with the front fork. Ensure the gap between the faceplate and the stem is evenly spaced and the bolts are tightened evenly. Use a torque wrench to torque all 4 bolts in an X pattern to the value listed in your owner's manual. Remove the keys attached to the handlebar and set aside for later. Separate the front fender from the wheel and set aside. Remove the protective plates from both sides of the front wheel. Loosen the axle nuts on both sides of the wheel and move any washers against the axle nuts for installation. During assembly, be careful not to touch the brake rotor on the front wheel, as doing so can deposit oil on the rotor and reduce braking function. Locate and remove the quick-release skewer that holds the fork on the fork protector plate. Open the lever, remove the thumb nut and cone spring on the opposite side, and remove the skewer. Lift the fork off the protector plate and carefully set it on the ground. Recycle the fork and wheel protector plate packaging, including skewer, thumb nut, cone springs, and any spacers not used for the front wheel installation if possible. Remove the hydraulic brake pad spacer from the brake caliper on the front wheel. Once you've removed it, do not squeeze the front brake lever until the wheel is fully installed. With the help of a friend, carefully lift the front of the bike and lower the fork onto the front wheel. Ensure the brake rotor enters the caliper between the brake pads evenly. Ensure the axle enters the fork dropouts fully on both sides. Double-check that the wheel axle is level and parallel to the ground, and that the wheel is centered in the fork. Use the 15mm wrench to tighten the axle nuts on both sides of the fork until secure. Use a torque wrench to torque both sides of the front wheel axle to the value listed in your owner's manual. Test the front wheel installation using these tests. First, with a friend holding the front of the bike up, spin the front wheel to ensure it has no wobble or looseness. Second, while straddling the bike with hands on the handlebars, squeeze the front brake lever with your left hand. Rock the bike forward and backward. Ensure the front brake prevents the front wheel from spinning and that there's no play or wiggle in the wheel, handlebar, or front fork. Any sign of play or wiggle is a sign that you may not have properly secured the front wheel and that you should repeat the installation process. Put the kickstand down for the rest of the assembly. Locate the headlight and front fender for installation. Use a 10mm wrench and a 5mm Allen wrench to remove the headlight mounting hardware from the fork bridge. Pass the fender from the back of the wheel forward under the fork bridge and position the mounting bracket in front of the mounting point on the fork. Pass the bolt and flat washer through the fender bracket, headlight mounting bracket, and the mounting point on the fork bridge. Pass a flat washer and lock nut over the other end of the bolt and secure it by hand. Use a 10mm wrench and the 5mm Allen wrench to tighten the bolt until secure. Remove the fender mounting hardware from the front fork. Secure the fender mounting arms. Place a fender arm eyelet over the fork mounting point and thread in the bolt by hand. Secure the bolt with a 4mm Allen wrench. Repeat with the other fender mounting arm. Check that the fender and headlight are centered. The wheels should spin freely within the fenders without touching them. Once centered, torque the headlight mounting bolt and fender mounting arm bolts to the values listed in your owner's manual. Locate the headlight cable end with the red interior. Line up the internal notch and pins and the external arrows on the headlight connectors and push together without twisting. Adjust the headlight angle slightly downward so that it will illuminate the road ahead without blinding oncoming traffic. Use an 8mm wrench and a 4mm Allen wrench to tighten the headlight angle adjustment bolt until secure. Find the pedals and identify which is the right and left pedal by the sticker on the pedal or the markings on the pedal axle. Apply a pea-size amount of bicycle grease to the threaded portion of each pedal axle. The right pedal has a smooth axle and threads onto the drivetrain side of the bike. Carefully thread the right pedal by hand onto the right crank by turning clockwise toward the front of the bike. Be careful not to cross-thread or damage the threads. The left pedal has grooves on the axle and threads onto the left side of the bike. Carefully thread the left pedal by hand onto the left crank by turning counterclockwise, also toward the front of the bike. Once the pedals are fully threaded onto the cranks, use the torque wrench with a crowfoot bit to tighten to the value listed in your owner's manual. Wipe off any excess grease. Next, we'll inflate the tires. Check that the tire beads and tires are damage-free and evenly seated around the rims. For more information about seating tires and tubes, refer to your owner's manual. Use a floor pump with a Schrader valve and pressure gauge to inflate each tire to the recommended PSI indicated on the tire sidewall. Do not overinflate or underinflate tires. Open the seat post quick release lever and remove the seat post. Adjust the clamps so it's centered over the notch on the seat tube. Apply a small amount of grease to the seat post and install the seat post. Be sure the minimum insertion marking is completely inside the seat tube. Adjust the seat post up or down to a comfortable height and then close the lever fully. Tighten the adjustment thumb nut on the clamp with the lever in line halfway closed. When you feel resistance, close the lever fully, which should require enough pressure to leave an imprint in your hand. The seat post should not move once the lever is closed. Locate the passenger seat and mounting hardware. Position the seat on the rear rack. Line up the 4 mounting points on the bottom of the seat with the 4 outer mounting points on the rear rack. You may need to raise the seat post for easier installation. Pass the bolt with 2 captive washers through the rack. Slightly raise the passenger seat to ensure alignment. Carefully thread the bolt into the mounting point on the seat and loosely tighten by hand. Repeat with the other 3 bolts. Use a 4mm Allen wrench to tighten each bolt. Use a torque wrench with a 4mm Allen bit to torque to the value listed in your owner's manual. Perform a handlebar twist test by standing at the front of the bike and bracing the front wheel between your feet and lower legs. Hold both handlebar grips and push forward with one hand while pulling back with the other hand. Push and pull with about 20 pounds of force with each hand. Check that the handlebar doesn't move out of alignment with the wheel. If the handlebar and stem rotate out of alignment with the front wheel, check the tightness of your stem clamp bolts and tighten if necessary. Next, perform a handlebar push test by bracing your front wheel against a wall and mounting the bike. Adjust the seat height so you can sit with your feet on the ground and your hands on the handlebar. Squeeze the brake lever and push the handlebar toward the wall with about 100 pounds of force. If the handlebar rotates inside the stem, you'll need to realign the handlebar and retighten the stem faceplate bolts. Be sure to torque them to the values listed in your owner's manual. Check the bike's chain alignment by standing on the right side of the bike and rotating the right pedal and crank toward the back of the bike slowly, as if you were pedaling backwards. Verify the chain moves through the drivetrain smoothly. Locate the keys and turn the battery to the on position, and then remove the key. Never ride the bike with the key in the battery. Press the power button on the remote to power on the bike. Once the e-bike powers up and the color display is on, there are some features you might want to configure before your first ride. Hold the menu button down on the remote to enter the settings menu. On these menus, you can change display options, security settings, and set up service reminders. Use the up and down buttons on the remote to navigate to the security menu, where you can create a 4-digit passcode required to unlock the bike at startup. To learn more about these options, refer to your owner's manual. Before riding, check that all hardware on the bike is torqued to the values listed in the owner's manual. Refer to the owner's manual for instructions on how to adjust components on the bike for comfort and safety. If you're assembling the bike for someone else, be sure to attach the rider quick reference card to the handlebar. We recommend getting a tune-up from a local, professional, reputable bike mechanic within the first 50 to 100 miles of riding. Follow the maintenance schedule in your owner's manual. Work through the safety checklists in the owner's manual and test the bike fully before riding. Never let anyone operate this bike unless they are at least 16 years old and have read the operating instructions detailed in the owner's manual. The age required for e-bikes may be older than 16 in your area. Check your local laws and rules for the areas you intend to ride. Whenever you ride, wear closed-toe shoes, comfortable clothing, and of course, a helmet. Make sure you can be seen by others on the road by wearing bright and reflective clothing and ensuring your headlight and taillight are always on and visible to others. E-bike disc brakes may wear out faster than would be the case for non-motorized bicycles, requiring more service. Make sure to inspect brake components before every ride and follow the maintenance intervals listed in your owner's manual. Like all vehicles, e-bikes need to be checked regularly to ensure nothing will jeopardize your safety or the safety of those around you. Follow all safety instructions and checklists in the owner's manual. The latest update to the owner's manual for your rad bike is always available on our website at radpowerbikes.com/help. Make it a habit to thoroughly check your bike before every ride. Reach out to our product support team if you have any questions, and ride rad.